It was not something smuggled in from Iraq. It was not something smuggled in from any Middle Eastern country. It was U.S. government ultra-fine granulated weaponized anthrax spores.
The History Channel will now admit that the anthrax was U.S. made and came from inside.
Within weeks, 5 would be dead and thousands of others exposed to one of the deadliest bacteria known to man.
There are very few people who have the bench skills to make a product this good.
Federal investigators discovered clues to the perpetrator's identity encoded in the bacterium itself.
There are 89 different types of anthrax, but each one has its own kind of trail. This one led directly back to our own defense establishment.
Was the U.S. government hiding a terrorist inside America's biodefense community? Some say yes, and that the official government investigation was a sham.
The only people who know anything about the subject are also the suspects.
They're protecting this individual.
What we're dealing with here is an inside job with a real insider who has secrets that nobody wants to get out. It's going to be too humiliating, too embarrassing.
All the spores were sent for immediate forensic testing. By the 10th of October, the analysis of the spores was complete. The results were horrifying. The bacterium that killed Robert Stevens and eventually infected 7 of his colleagues was identified as the Ames strain, a strain long favored by and under the near total control of the U.S. biodefense program.
In August 2008, finally a member of the mass media, Keith Olbermann, admits and clarifies for the public that the anthrax was not from Al-Qaeda.
Good evening. This is Friday, August 1st, 95 days until the 2008 presidential election. To that topic presently. First, if reporting by the Los Angeles Times today is even remotely accurate, the questions about the anthrax attacks, which terrified this nation late in 2001, would seem tonight to have boiled down to 3. First, was the anthrax sent by just one employee of our own government or more than one employee of our own government? Was it incompetence or a cover-up? And third, how, if there was evidence of something askew at our biological warfare lab in Maryland as early as December 2001, why did national news organizations in this country receive supposedly reliable leaks from the Bush administration that the anthrax had originated in Iraq? Our 5th story in the countdown, there is finally a suspect in the anthrax attacks. He worked for the government's anthrax lab, and unfortunately he's dead as of this past Tuesday. His name was Dr. Bruce E. Ivins. The Los Angeles Times reporting this morning, NBC News confirming tonight, that the Justice Department was preparing to file criminal charges against him for the 2001 anthrax attacks.
The FBI ordered the Ames strain destroyed and then went on a wild goose chase through different suspects who'd been pegged by the ADL and ultimately landed on a guy, Bruce Ivins, who had an odd suicide, overdosing on Tylenol. Later evidence shows he could not have made the anthrax from his lab. Killing those senators or scaring them into changing their vote would benefit who more? The security state, which had pre-written the bill and already planned the wars, or the lowly lab technician acting all by himself? It is interesting that they were mailed from the same states as Al-Qaeda's hijackers. Did someone know ahead of time where they were? The letters did read, "Allah is great and death to Israel." They came on the heels of 9/11, so naturally people assumed it was Al-Qaeda. Then anthrax or hoax anthrax was sent from Florida and New Jersey, just miles from where Al-Qaeda was based. Is this the work of a lone scientist? Who would benefit? Who else was located in both places and has a reputation for false flag terrorism? The Israeli Mossad.
Carl, is there any reason to suspect in this instance that the Israeli government is involved?
No, there's not, but there are growing instincts and an awful lot of law enforcement officials in a variety of agencies who suspect that and have begun compiling evidence and a highly classified investigation into precisely that possibility. Brett?
They have the means, the motive, and they were there.